Hello guys, welcome to episode number 7 of my podcast. And today we're going to talk about having kids, the advantages and disadvantages of having kids, and Biden and Kamala Harris. Ooh, spicy. I don't know, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But regardless, let's get started, okay? Let's go. I just received in the past 24 hours, really, I got 2 messages from 2 of my friends, and they both kind of had I shouldn't say complaints, but they were both airing their difficulties with raising children in this day and age, And I'm gonna read to you what one of my friends sent me. This is something from online that some other person posted. Okay. We have very little time between my spouse getting home and starting the bedtime routine. Our kids get very little sleep because of late bedtime because we can't hurry up the process anymore. Everyone is stressed. No one is having a relaxing night. Kids end up sleeping late, so we end up being free late. Then we have to clean up, do laundry, unpack some boxes or research things we need for new house, wash up and get ready for the next day. And we are exhausted. By the time we have a moment to rest and relax, it's near midnight and we don't want to sleep because we haven't had a moment of quiet free time together. So we sleep late or fight and sleep even later, only to wake up at an ungodly time. Now that sounds pretty bad, I'm gonna admit that, okay? Obviously, that's a problem, right? Before I go into the whole topic, I'm gonna tell you about my other friend who also has a young child. And he told me that, by the way, this first account, even though it wasn't my friend's, but my friend was basically saying that this is exactly what's happening in their household, okay? My other friend just told me that he doesn't think that he makes enough money for both him, his wife, and the kid, so we live in stressful times today. We definitely live in stressful times. Things are not traditional anymore, you know what I mean? And if you were to ask me, that's the problem. We moved away from what's traditional. By the way, what does traditional actually mean? Traditional means something that has been tried and done for a long period of time in our history. So it stood the test of time. The only reason why something is tradition is because it stood the test of time. People always have progressive ideas, right? This is not the 21st century is not the only century where people had new ideas. People always had new ideas, right? Some of them were good, some of them were bad. Most new ideas are bad, actually, right? So what we end up with after centuries and centuries of history, we are left with the ideas that were good, that stood the test of time, that were practical, right? Now, one of those traditional sort of ideas was that in a family, the woman stays home and takes care of the kids. And the man goes out and earns the bread, right? What's happening today? Obviously, the women are out in the workforce. Therefore, they have to hire nannies sometimes, unless the grandparents. I'm sorry, but my cat is hungry and he wants to eat. But yeah, unless the grandparents are involved, you're gonna have to hire a nanny at this point if the woman is out working as well, right? So My friend was asking me, is it good to have kids at this point, given the situation? She's super stressed out, super stressed out with the kids, with the husband, blah, blah, blah. And my answer is yes, it's good to have kids. You know, I always say that no matter what times we live in, whether it's bad times, you know, I have another friend of mine who thinks that it's not a good idea to have children given the state of the world right now and what may end up happening in the future, in the near future. Why would you bring somebody into the world, etc.? And that's an argument that I hear a lot. But I just think that there's always going to be problems, and the only way to basically perpetuate our civilization is by having kids, you know. And not to mention the fact that when you have kids, I'm sure, though I don't have kids myself, it's an extremely rewarding, at the end of the day, even though it's hard, it's an extremely rewarding experience, especially as the children get older and they start achieving things themselves, etc. So yes, I think it's a good thing to have kids. But like I said, the problem today is that we have moved away from these traditional roles of men and women. Men being the breadwinners, the sole breadwinners, and women staying home and taking care of the kids, especially early in the child's development. Now, I know that some people will say, and it's a valid argument, that a man's salary is not enough these days. And it's true, things are very expensive today. Having a kid is very expensive. My first kind of answer to that would be the man should really have another job if it's not enough. I know that sounds extreme. Depending on the line of work that you're in, it might be hard, especially if it's physical. But I do, you know, I personally think that when you stick to traditional roles, you end up with better results overall than if you don't. You know, look at what's happening with what I just told you, the examples I just gave you. So that's what I think. Now, you may say even with 2 salaries is not enough. At which point, you know, we have to start thinking about why things are the way they are. You know, back in the 50s, people in America were able to, with not even a college degree, with a high school degree, right, to have a job and to buy a house within the first few years of their marriage. Houses were like, what, 20,000 back then or something, 30,000? I don't claim to really know, but point is that it was affordable back then, even for somebody with a high school diploma, you know, and for the women to stay home. Why have things gotten so bad? Well, things got really bad because of inflation. At the end of the day, it's one of the most important factors. The printing of money that is not backed by gold basically depreciates. Excuse me. Oh my God. Leo decided to jump. The depreciation of money, you know, that's basically why we ended up in this situation. You know, they keep printing money. I don't want to get into this because this is a whole nother topic, but the Federal Reserve, which is not a government agency, is a privately owned agency. Very important. They're the ones setting all the monetary regulations, and they're the ones pumping money into the economy. They're the ones literally printing money for us to use. Again, I won't get into the economics of it. I only even know the basics of it, but it's good enough for what I'm trying to say. But obviously the decline of our civilization is happening on many fronts. It's not just the money issue. Like I said, it's the moving away from tradition, many things, okay? But just to sum it up, it's good to have kids. I want to have kids, and I will have kids. I'll make all the sacrifices I need to have kids, okay? So yes, I do think it's important to have kids. All right, next topic. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Oh my God. Now, how stupid do the people who voted for these two fools are looking right now? I'm not saying if you voted for them that you are stupid. What I am saying is that you look stupid. Okay? And I have some proof before I dive into it a little further. All right? Exhibit A.
One of the reasons why I decided to talk about the need to deal with the operation and the gouging that occurs in some of the pricing of beef and chicken and other things is that that's why I think that's why I indicated to you we're going to look at whether or not there's a violation of antitrust laws and what they're doing.
Okay. Need I say more? Chicken? All right. I hope you can enjoy that one. Exhibit B.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
There you go. So these two people right now are in charge of our country. Or are they? Aha. Because I don't think any normal person will look at these two buffoons and really think in their head that they're in charge. They're not. They're not in charge. They cannot possibly be. A sixth grader can do better than these two people. All right? Now, the reason why I'm saying that you're not stupid if you voted for these two people, you just look stupid, is because, you know, Biden had these issues back in 2019 during the election campaign as well. He's progressively getting worse, but it was obvious even back then. So it's not like you can use the excuse that, oh, he looked good back then and then all of a sudden he started declining after he became president. It's not true, right? It was very obvious. There were video compilations of him messing up all over the place back then. So why did you vote for somebody who obviously is in mental decline? And the reason I think is simple, is because of your hate for Trump. You know, anything is better than Trump at that point. This is not my opinion, it's what I'm saying. The people who voted for Biden, this is what they argue, that anything is better than Trump, which is an illogical statement, first of all. But when you know that the person you're voting for has dementia or the beginning stages of dementia, you logically should realize that somebody else will be in charge. He'll just be the front person, right? Now, you can't look at Kamala being the one in charge of Biden because Exhibit B proved that she's an airhead. And she has been an airhead. Even back then, she was an airhead. So, you know that those two together are not in charge. Logically, you should ask yourself, so who is in charge? I should have silenced my cell phone. So who is in charge actually then? Right? This is a valid question you should ask yourself. Who is in charge? And if you don't know who is in charge, why would you vote for them if you don't know who's in charge? Do you think that a government as evil as our government has proven to be in the past, that given the opportunity to put anybody in control behind Biden and Kamala Harris, that it wouldn't be a problem? You know, this is just logical thinking. one step after another. That's why I just never understood. Even back then, I used to tell people all the time, if you don't like Trump, why are you voting for Biden? Tell me a good thing about Biden. They wouldn't be able to tell me. And their answer was, anything is better than Trump. Really, anything is better than Trump. You cannot think of anybody worse than Trump to be in control of our country. What if the next Hitler is behind the curtains, behind Joe Biden? What if the next Stalin is behind them? Whoever that person may be. It's a scary, scary proposition. So this is the thing. When people have feelings, I spoke about feelings and emotions getting in the way of logic before, but that's basically what they do, especially fear, but hate as well. If you hate, your logic is compromised. Okay? You cannot make a choice as important as choosing the president of the United States while operating on hate. If you don't like Donald Trump or you hate Donald Trump, just don't vote, because you don't know who the other one is. Why would you vote for an unknown? It's just mind-boggling. And look at the situations that we're in right now. It's just unbelievable. All right. I think I've spoken enough for today. This was my podcast for the day. I'm not going to continue any further. I think I made my points, okay? Like, subscribe, comment, etc. And I will see you on the next episode, all right? Take care.